first of all, this week on our Meet the Team section, it's the turn of one of our own live events team to be in the hot seat. So welcome back to the show, Sean.
Hi, Jude. How are you?
You usually don't get a welcome. We usually just take you for granted, but you actually get a welcome this week when you're being interviewed. So you're particularly welcome this week, Sean.
I'm normally down in the dungeon running the videos.
That's it, yeah. Now, first off, Sean, I have to just check something. Is it true? There's been maybe rumors, and I kind of tend to believe them myself. Is it true that for the past 3 years you've been voted into Dundalk's top 5 most recognised celebrities?
I think that's true. I'm gradually getting into the top 3, but it's tough.
That's the ambition.
It's the 4 cores that are keeping me out of the top 3.
That's it, yeah. So you come in at number 5 every year, is that it?
Every year.
Well, there's actually a slight element of truth in this, in that most of you might recognise Sean's voice even from the tech support line, because Sean would be well known on the tech support line. But maybe, Sean, you can just give us a little bit of an idea of how long you've been with NCBI and where you're based and things like that.
I've been with NCBI over 5 years now. Based in Drumcondra currently in head office, but I started off with NCBI by volunteering for technical training. I started off helping Miriam, and Miriam gave me guidance on how to use JAWS and that at the time. And then after that, a position opened up in actually clerical in the Dundalk office right next to me, so I took that position up, and then I've been sort of moving and out of different roles in NCBI ever since.
Brilliant, very good. And was that always your background in tech support and things like that?
Yeah, I did software development in college, and I always sort of worked something to do with computers. If I wasn't breaking them at home, I was fixing them somewhere else. Yeah. But yeah, no, I've always worked, even in jobs where it was just things like I worked in sales. I've worked in every kind of possible thing you can imagine, but you're always doing something on a computer or databases or, Microsoft products. So over the years, you become fairly adept at using them.
It must be something you've always enjoyed then, in that case, to be kind of dipping in and out of different aspects of IT.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like as a child, if I'd break things in the house, and I'd try and break them less before my parents got home. So that's kind of where I picked that stuff up from.
You try and break them less. That's a noble ambition, that is.
yeah. Well, it's not as broken as it was when I first started. So.
And did that ever work? That excuse?
No. I don't recommend you use that excuse.
Giving people ideas here. So tell us, what does your role at NCBI involve at the moment? What has it involved over the last couple of years, maybe?
Well, I was after like clerical and that there, and clerical's a great place to work in NCBI because you do pick up lots of how NCBI works and all the services, and like it's vast, the services that we have. So it was a good starting ground of picking up what we do and what we can do. And then I moved into training and support, and I've been doing training and support for maybe the last 2.5 years, maybe with NCBI, and now I'm moving into kind of like projects and website testing and app testing and a whole host of different things. So it's always interesting at NCBI, which is great.
And have you always kind of enjoyed that aspect of it? It must be challenging as well. I think we had this kind of same conversation a little bit with Colin last week. The idea of actually giving tech support over the phone sometimes can be quite a challenge.
Yeah, it's like a mixture of like sort of two thoughts, because every day is different. Like there's no two people come with the same problem, but then through experience with people with slightly similar problems, like you can kind of get an idea how to solve it quicker, or you kind of get to the solution quicker because you've had experience. But in saying that, like I said there's no 2 days that are the same when you're doing support or training, because everyone's needs are different. Everyone has a different computer setup, different version of the software, and if you're into it, it's always interesting. There's no day that you went, I've done that before. It's always different.
I think one of Colin's recommendations last week, I'm not sure if he thought it was a recommendation at the time, of course, but he said something along the lines of, I think he worked in IT support in the Norwegian language, and he didn't speak Norwegian, and apparently he felt that helped him. I don't know. There's a tip for you, Sean. You can go and work in a foreign country, a place that you don't speak the language.
Eventually, if I want to send me over to Sweden or Norway for a few months, I'll be quite happy with that.
For your professional development.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So tell me, is there anything specific? You mentioned there that your role has kind of changed a bit in terms of looking at different projects at the moment. Anything particular you're working on at the moment?
Well, we're currently working on a new website for NCBI, and we want to make sure that that's, fully accessible, works well for every type of person that's using it, sighted, non-sighted, and different software. So it is a big undertaking, but it's shaping up very nicely, and I think people will be excited with the new features we have on the website. And I know, like, Kieran was on the past, and Alan on the past, and talking about the smart hub that'll be coming in the next year or so. So I'll be helping Alan and Kieran out with that also, and I'll be doing a lot of app testing. I'll be doing a lot of testing for the HSE currently. Like, they might have a website or a portal, and they'll send it to us, and we go through it for accessibility and give them notes back on it, and they can correct it from there, which is very useful for them to get their website audited in terms of accessibility, and then for us to know that there's going to be more websites out there that are accessible.
Brilliant. Yeah, very good. And a couple of those projects as well, we'll be sure to keep everyone updated on as they develop through this year. The ones that are related particularly to NCBI initiatives will certainly update people. Yeah, excellent. So thanks very much for coming on the show, getting interviewed, Sean. Great to have you on the show. So, go on.
I'll try and make the top 3 for the next time I'm on the show in Dundalk.
I was going to say, there's Sean Doran. He's one of Dundalk's most famous sons, gunning for top spot. So watch out, the cores. So that's the warning coming from Sean Dunn. Brave talk there from Sean Doran. So thanks very much for coming on to the show today, Sean, and we'll no doubt be hearing from you later on in the show anyway in bits and pieces as well.